Welcome everybody, my name is Michael and today we're discussing about Bitcoin beating the US dollar yet again. The US dollar has lost quite a bit of its purchasing power over the past couple of years in comparison to Bitcoin. Specifically, 97.58% of its purchasing power relative to Bitcoin over the past 5 years. 1 USD is now worth just 0.000023 Bitcoin. As of February 15th, lost 97.58% of its buying power relative to Bitcoin. Purchases of Satoshis show the value of USD dropping more specifically. This is in part thanks to the government's continued strategy of printing money during the COVID pandemic, which hasn't turned out too well. As we see gas prices, you see those I did that stickers of Biden and inflation everywhere rising. Well, it's not too good. And when you look at the markets, there is definitely a value to be had. And specifically, $1 buys 75% less Satoshis than 2 years ago before the pandemic. I mean, now that you think about it, actually, it was the start of it back then. Inflation has reduced the actual value of the dollar by more than 85% over the last 50 years. Bitcoin's value has relatively stayed high, and over the past 5 years, I mean, we're talking about, it's now 2022, we're talking about back in 2017, before that bull run. At this point, Bitcoin was at, what, $1,000, $2,000, and even now, with it being a little bit lower than we'd like, but still at $43,000. I mean, you just compare that to a dollar, where it's actually fallen in value every single year, and it will continue to do that until basically it ceases to exist. Maybe there's a digital dollar. According to a Finbold report between February 1st, 2020 and February 1st, 2022, the number of Satoshis that could be purchased with $1 dropped from 10,656 to 2,638, a fall of 75.24%. It's basically a figure, and Satoshis is the easy way to look at a lot of decimal points, .0000, it doesn't make sense to say that every time. So it's easier to say 7,500 Satoshis, or, oh, this altcoin's 15,000 Satoshis. It rose up by 1,200 Satoshis. If you multiply the price of Bitcoin in dollars by 100 million, that's what you get in terms of Satoshis. Now, the reason it is so drastic how little a US dollar can purchase the amount of Satoshis right now is not only due to its devaluation over the past couple of years, but with Bitcoin rising over 300% over just the past 2 years, that's a pretty massive volatile figure right there. This shows us that Bitcoin is definitely a viable alternative to the US dollar. And this also puts into question what's going to happen in the next 10, 20, 30 years. Most likely, the value of Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies is going to continue to rise while the dollar is going to fall. And now your only option is, if you're an average person making money, is you have to invest in stuff that's going to beat inflation. And one of those assets is going to be cryptocurrency. Now, depending on how bad things can get, this is just the beginning, because we haven't seen another 2008, a Great Recession, or another Great Depression, or Black Friday back in the 1980s. So, yes, it's been pretty bad with a black swan event, but this was still held up by billions of dollars in stimulus packages. Now, what happened if that didn't exist? What would happen if suddenly you had a ton of people who are unemployed, who can't pay for their housing, and you didn't have these packages that were propping up everything? Well, we might see that even this next decade. So at that point, Bitcoin will definitely be put to the test. But if you're a long-term believer of it, I mean, hey, this is where we're heading into the future. Unfortunately, things can get a little bit rocky, but we're able to stay on top of it as long as you are at least doing a little bit of research and a little bit of work, going for the long game. Stay safe, invest in 401ks and crypto, and you should be all set. So, and make sure that if you're not making that much money, you find a better paying job. But that's tonight's video. The rest of tonight, I'm gonna go to the Chicago Auto Show, so I'm gonna show you guys a couple vehicles that I'm interested in, and yeah, pretty cool. Yeah. Zrobiłem zdjęcie ich Rolls Royce'a, odebrałem tam. Thanks so much for watching tonight's video, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed. I think the most exciting vehicle, this is before I'm heading to the auto show again, remember, so this is going to be, I know it's kind of flip-flop, but the most that I'm excited for is the BMW iXM concept, which isn't a concept anymore, but it's a pretty cool electric SUV. And apart from that, I don't know, if I see some cool exotics, I'm all for that. So let's go. Oh, and I got free tickets because I work at a dealership. So woo, why not? See ya.